everyone. Welcome to another episode of Megan Chitwood Live, powered by BNI. In this episode, we're going to be talking with Jean about StoryBrand. This is a book that I read and absolutely loved. Jean, though, works with small business owners and sales professionals to help them implement StoryBrand within their businesses. And there are going to be some great nuggets on things you can actually implement into your business right away from this show. So let's get started. And as you know, you can catch our show every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you can also catch it on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. So, Jean, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Megan. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing absolutely great. And I don't know if you noticed in our intro, but this was inspired by StoryBrand. This actual show was inspired by StoryBrand. Making BNI members the heroes of the show. So,
awesome.
So yeah, we'll get into all of that and more. So first, let's talk a little bit about StoryBrand. So tell us what StoryBrand is and why any of us should really care.
Well, StoryBrand is it's a 7-point framework for developing clarified messaging, and it's based on the book Building a StoryBrand by Donald Miller. In May of this year, I became certified as a StoryBrand certified guide, trained and licensed to deliver that framework and developing messaging using that concept. And the real differentiator of StoryBrand is when you're communicating with your customer using this philosophy, you are inviting them into a beautiful story. So many times as brands and businesses, we want to tell our story. Mm-hmm. I've even had potential clients come to me and say, hey, I need you to help me tell my story. I said, well, I don't really do that. I will position you so that you become the guide and your customer enters into their story.
So you use the term guide. So yes. Talk a little bit about what is a guide when you're talking about this framework.
Well, StoryBrand is based on centuries-old methodology of telling stories. And you can see this played out in movies or books, really good movies or books, this kind of same type process. You know, when I watch a movie now, I'll immediately start, putting people into the points on the framework and start telling my wife, this is what's happening here. This is what's going here. She just kind of wants me to shut up and watch the movie. But, once you kind of get this philosophy, you start doing it. So what we want to do is we want to have a hero, which is your customer or your prospect. And they want something. Every customer wants something. And they have a problem that's keeping them from getting what they want. So you start with kind of those first three elements. And then once you understand their problem and how it's keeping them from getting what they want, you position your brand or business as the guide that helps them get what they want. So think about Star Wars as an example. Obi-Wan is the guide for Luke to help save the rebellion and defeat the empire. A really great movie I reference all the time that nobody's seen is called Next 3 Days, where Russell Crowe's wife's in prison and he's trying to get her out, and he meets a guide, Liam Neeson, who's been in prison, who's broken out of prison and knows exactly how to do this. So that's a movie that really follows it very well. You can see it in Hunger Games with, Woody Harrelson, Haymitch, I think, is the guide for Katniss, teaching her, showing her how to get what she wants. So you don't want to position your brand as the hero. You want to position your brand as the guide and help your customer get what they want.
Absolutely. So can you give us a couple of business examples of how a company is really doing a great job of positioning themselves as the guide instead of the hero in the story?
Well, sure. One, I recently worked with a local company here called Elements Design and Manufacturing. They were going to make storm shelters, and we actually positioned them to making total safe rooms, protect you from a tornado, protect your valuables, and keep them safe from burglary and fire. So their whole thing is, you are this hero wanting to provide this protection for your loved ones and precious valuables. Let us show you how to do that. We invite you into this story of, it's a dangerous world. You do not have to deal with these traumas. We have ways to keep you and your family safe. So they've done a real good job of kind of adopting that. And when they're communicating, that's the way they communicate to that prospect, is that we want to keep you and your family safe from life's external traumas. So they're a local one here that's doing a really good job.
And it is, right? Because it's peace of mind. It's knowing that I'm going to be safe. Right. It's knowing that, and then in the valuables piece as well, that they're going to be safe also.
Yeah, we talk about transitional identity a lot in StoryBrand, and that's where your hero or character starts. And then as they enter into the story, and as you help them and guide them and call them to action and give them the solution, where do they end up? So in this example, you have a confused, kind of frightened homeowner who really doesn't know what to do. And then they transition into a confident, secure person who's made a really good decision and now protects their family. So working through that just enables you to now talk about your brand in a way that your customers will listen and respond to you.
I love this. I love this framework because I think it's also because I feel more comfortable as a guide than I do as a hero. I think that's part of it. But the other one is in the world of B&I, which we'll talk about your experience a little bit later, but in the world of B&I, really, if we position ourselves as the guide, one, people might actually take our advice a little bit more than if we have this system, and the system is amazing, which is all true, but really you don't care about the system. You want to know, how is the system going to ultimately help me? And, and if we can talk about that specifically. The other, so Gene has taken us through this process, just to let you know, he has taken us through this process. And it was amazing what came out of it. What were some of the things that were surprised you about what came out of going through this with us?
Well, I remember one of your comments was, God, this seems so simple. And that's what it ends up being. It's just a much simpler way to talk about what you do in a manner that's relevant and motivating to your prospect. And you're exactly right. What you see a lot of times, and you can see this on thousands of websites and in marketing collateral, you log on, you see them start talking about, we founded this company 20 years ago. We're number one in this category. We offer X, Y, and Z. You're telling your story. Yes. Now your hero comes and they want to tell their story. So now you have two heroes telling a story. You have to invite them into your story. And as we kind of walked through that with B&I, and that comment kind of resonated with me. Yeah, this is very simple. We know what they want, which is business growth, a healthy, thriving business. Their problem is they don't necessarily know what to do all the time. They need more contacts. They need a broader network. They need some skills. We have these things that we can show them how to get what they want. So just kind of flipping that conversation to, let us kind of show you the solutions we have to your problem so that you get what you want, and then you become a hero on a mission that achieves what you want.
Which I think that also attracts the person who's actually going to use your product or service, as opposed to kind of catching all and then ultimately weeding out, probably not in a positive way, what you're ultimately doing. So and I will say this, the other thing, because we pride ourselves on over 35 years and all those kinds of things, I was a little worried that, wait a second, but we do use that messaging in building our credibility, right? Why can I be your guide in this? Well, the system's been around for over 36 years. I've been doing it for, over 17, so you can bring those elements in, but it's only to say, you've got a guide who can actually guide you through this process.
Go back to my Liam Neeson example of somebody had broken out of prison 5 times, understood. We talk about empathy. We've been where you've been. We're business owners. We understand what you're going through. So you have empathy, and then credibility, like his situation. He's done this. He knows what you're going through. He has the skills, resources, and authority. so he can be trusted as your guide.
Yes.
So that's a very key element of it, is authority and empathy, so that you can show them, you can trust me as your guide. I'm the one who can help you solve your problem.
Yeah. And I think too, this helps you bring in, like, I think it helps you bring in your why a little bit more as well as a business
Sure.
person. So if you're just doing a business because it's just a business,
Right.
I find that to be a challenge, right? But sharing, like, this gave me permission to share my story a bit more, because I would never lead in with I was a member as well, because I thought, well, that was such a long time ago. Does that even matter anymore? But it does matter, because I've been right where you are, and and these are all the feelings that I felt, just like you said about the empathy piece.
Well, I'm working with a HR consulting group here in Tuscaloosa, and it's a very similar type thing. This person was 20 years in HR. She has all these skills and knowledge and curriculum to help these companies. She just had to start positioning it as, that's the credibility and authority I have, again, to help you get what you want, which is a thriving organization with a great work environment, engaged employees. Those are the things you want. So she even made the comment, I usually start my presentations with my background and where I've done. And I told her that they don't care. They don't care. What they care about is you understand their problem, and you're going to help them get what they want. Now, how do you do that? Through your experience, your credibility, your authority, your background, and the solution that you offer them. So yeah, they've jumped on board and done a really good job, clarifying their message and switching around the way they go to market.
Well, and it's really important, because there's so many marketing messages out there, right? So you've got to do something that makes yours very, very different.
Yeah, depending on what source you look at, we're exposed between 6,000 and 10,000 messages a day. And if you're saying the same things everybody else is in the same way, in the same manner, you're just part of that noise.
Yeah.
So this philosophy really kind of helps you break through that noise. And a lot of people come back and say, well, the guy down the streets kind of can do the same thing. What we talk about in StoryBrand is, if they're not saying it, then you own it. So if you're saying it, then you own it. So don't necessarily worry about, they can say it, but they're not. If you're out there saying it and own it, then you're the one that's going to be looked to as the guide.
So, which leads to the other philosophy in this whole framework that has been so impactful to me, which is, a confused buyer does not buy.
That's right. You confuse, you lose.
So they're not connecting 35 years in business to, oh, that person must have a lot of credibility. They're not connecting those dots.
Right.
That's why you've got to say, I am a great guide for you because of that. But talk a little bit about a confused buyer doesn't buy. Because,
the big challenge there, and I had to physician heal myself on this. I have 30 years background in marketing and strategic planning and innovation, and can do a myriad of things. If you open more than one story loop, let's take another movie example, Jason Bourne and the Bourne Identity. Jason Bourne in those movies wants to find out who he is. That's the story loop. Well, if the story loop of, he also wants to get married, he wants to run a marathon, he wants to go to the Bahamas, he wants to get a cat. Now I'm confused. You've got all these story loops open, and I check out. Our brains are doing two things all the time. They're trying to survive and thrive, and they're trying to conserve calories. So if you start making me try to figure out what you're doing, I'm checking out. We liken it to a kind of a greased up bowling ball. I toss you one of those, you can hold it with no problem. I toss you two, you're okay. You may be getting a little sweaty. I toss you three, now you're stressed. I toss you four, what happens? You drop all of them. You don't drop the last one, you drop all of them, so you're out. So we really focus on tell one story loop, engage your customer that way, and then once they understand you've built that credibility and you can help them get what they want, then you can introduce them to other products and services that you have. But in any kind of communication initiative, you really need to try to stay to one, no more than two story loops, so that you don't confuse that buyer and they check out. And we were talking, about commercials we see today, and we have no idea what they're talking about. You're just wasting marketing money because it's so confusing.
Yeah. And it is really and I think the other great thing about how this framework works is you can try different storylines in different spaces, right? So yeah, so you don't just have, let's say you do have 5 products.
Yep.
Well, you just don't do it all at the same time. You do
That's
them one
right.
at a time,
Right.
so that you're nailing exactly what I'm looking for
That's right.
in that one opening
Yep.
storyline.
So you do not confuse them, because if you confuse them, they're going to check out. You know,
Absolutely.
they're not, we look at it like a treadmill. They're not going to stay on it very long. You got about 5 seconds, to
Yes.
engage somebody before this is confusing me, I'm checking out.
So I started looking after going through all of that. I started looking around and I saw it everywhere. I saw confusing marketing messages just absolutely everywhere. And I will say, I think that concept changed the way I operated so much that I thought,
Right.
if I am not giving you one step in front of the other, then I know I'm going to lose you, which I
Yep.
think has helped in success we've had personally this year. So
Yep.
I think, like I said, I'm a huge StoryBrand fan, huge fan. So you mentioned that your background is corporate strategic planning and just a wealth of knowledge. How did you get from there to working more with small businesses and ultimately StoryBrand?
It's kind of a winding road, but I'll do the short version of it. Yeah, I spent 20 years plus in corporate America with large consumer packaged goods companies, stuff you can go in a grocery store and buy, like Mrs. Smith's pies, Edwards pies, those type of products, doing marketing at kind of the highest level. I kind of went from that to helping a German dessert company launch their product line in the US as a consultant. And then from there, I would be hired by a client and kind of work for them for a while, just as a one-off type deal. It's only been about 3 to 4 years where I've really taken all the knowledge and expertise that I've gathered over the years and really focus into helping a business owner get the business they want. I mean, you're a business owner, business owners, how crazy that life can be, how stressful it can be, everything you're trying to manage, and you're still trying to kind of find that elusive, personal work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I help those owners through some strategic goal setting. What business do you want? And then we clarify their message using that StoryBrand philosophy. And then we build them a marketing funnel. When they just do those 3 things, it'll really help them get less stress in their life, more success, and really get at the business that they want. And I had to kind of, learn over the years that not every business owner necessarily wants a lot of growth in their business. They want a sustainable, happy income and the ability to have more free time. Some of them come to me and say, hey, I want to double this thing in 5 years. And, we can work with that. But we really want to sit down and understand, what business do you want? Then we set the goals, deliver the messaging, and build a marketing funnel that helps them get there.
Well, and I think the other thing that you touched on a little bit too is also the business that you want, right? If your marketing message is great, you can attract the exact client that
Absolutely.
you want as well.
Yeah, a lot of people are busy and not happy because they're not working with the kind of customer they want. Yeah, we can help them change who they want their hero to be, understand their problem, help them get what they want, become the guy, and now you're the solution for that hero, which is a different customer. I see that a lot of people, these are not the customers I wanted. The workday is not enjoyable. So that's what we can try to help them there too. Again, all around getting the business that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my key strategic ones was I want a community of givers, right? I want it to be a safe place for people who have a giving heart, who you won't be taken advantage of here. And that was a big aha for me, because it was kind of everybody, and trying to think of it down, like, who are the people that I love working with the most? And it's somebody who I don't have to have my guard up with, and I don't have to have my guard up with because I'm a giver, and other people will as well. So it is, like I said, just an interesting thought process, for sure. So how did you get to BNI, and how has that whole journey been for you?
Well, when I came out of one of those kind of long-term client arrangements and was going to just start, going after clients myself, I joined Pinnacle in Birmingham, started that process. Great chapter there, learned a ton for them. I got married in November of 19 and moved to Tuscaloosa. Now I'm a member of the North River chapter here. And BNI has been just a tremendous resource for me. And I think most people find it not only becomes a professional resource, but it becomes a place that you make a lot of personal contacts and some really good friends, being a part of that group that all kind of has the same goal in mind and kind of row in the same direction.
Yeah. So finding your people. Really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Finding a group that, it's all we're all in this together. We all want to help each other. Like you're saying, you can kind of have your guard down because we're all looking to achieve the same thing in here. Is a really good experience.
Yeah. So, so what would you say is BNI? Like, what is BNI? If I were to ask
Well,
you,
a lot of things we worked on.
Yeah.
We're really trying to change around the messaging around that. A lot of people see BNI as a place I'm going to go and give and get referrals. And that is such a small portion. At the end of the day, we want people to get a lot of closed business and we want to get a lot of referrals. But the things you get out of being part of that community, and we really talk about BNI as growing your business through the power of community. It is really hard to describe without you experiencing it, but the knowledge and expertise you can gain from other successful business owners. Think back this year, all the PPP stuff. We had bankers in there talking about that, accountants. All this is free. You're not paying for this, and it has nothing to do with referrals. These are just things you can apply to your own business. You make money. You either save money or make money by attending the chapter, irrespective of referrals. We've had financial planners talk about the changes in the tax code and how it's going to impact you. An accountant recently talking about the child tax credit and how that's, you would pay people to do that. And these are people giving it away every week for free. And again, it's just part of this community where you learn so much that you can apply to your business. That we really, BNI is growing your business through the power of this community, not just a place where we're going to exchange a referral here and there and go get another client. That's part of it, and that's great, and we never want to lose that. But that ability to be part of this group, and then think of the relationship you make with the realtor trades people, the lawn care people, the roofers, and all that. When you need something, you call them; it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that power that people outside of BNI, don't have as much access like that as you do within BNI.
Absolutely, yeah, and really being able to connect. I mean, I like the trade and the real estate stuff because it becomes very easy for you to become a great resource to all the personal relationships you have, your neighbor and so on.
Well, that's right. I know a guy. Everybody in BNI, they know a guy. They know a guy that can take care of that, and it's true. And then it sets you up as being more of a hero for that neighbor.
Yes.
Who may want something from you down the line. So
yes, absolutely.
I get kind of passionate about it. It's not just about joining there and getting referrals. It'll help you grow your business in ways you never really considered when you were thinking about joining BNI. And then the return on investment, for what you make there. We hear most people say, it was a very, very quick, easy return on their investment once they joined BNI.
Yeah, absolutely. So this show, I mentioned earlier, this show was making the BNI member the hero because, again, but one of the things that I learned from it as we've gone through contributed to many of the things that you said is almost like, I remember, I think it was like the fifth show. And I was like, okay, all right, everybody, no one has talked about how much money you've made from BNI. Like no one to date has talked about, because I'm bringing on lifers. I call them lifers. People who have been in BNI for several years probably will continue to stay in BNI because they have gotten great value from it. And when I ask, what is the value? I think I have to meet a threshold of money, right? Because you have to meet a threshold of that, right? Yeah. But once that threshold is met, it becomes more about all the things you've talked about.
Yeah, the ability to just learn these things that are being talked about every week. So you may not get a referral that week, but you may make a lot of money because of what the financial planner shared that week.
Right.
So you make and save money showing up in there a lot of week if you listen and paying attention. And then again, that whole giver's gain philosophy, I know we talk about it all the time, but if you really approach it that way, and that's what I love about even my business, what we try to do to get a business owner the business they want is we literally, that's what we want to do. We really want to get you the business that you want. That's what we're trying to do. In BNI, I really want to see the guy next to me be successful. Yes. And how can I help him be successful? And then it's going to come back to you because everybody's going to help you be successful as well.
So you said something that that triggered something for me. So recently someone told a story about how they were able to do a last minute something to help someone. And they were bragging about how they did the last minute thing, right? Which is awesome. And I said, but I literally stopped them because I couldn't contain myself. And I was like, do you want the last minute though? And they said, no, I don't want the last minute. I said, okay, then say the last minute thing is to illustrate to you that I will do whatever it takes for my clients. I do not want you sending me every last minute human being on the face of the planet, because that will not give me the business that I want. But it does show how dedicated you are to your business, and how do you use that as part of the story as well.
Yeah, and a lot of what we talk about in StoryBrand too, if people hadn't quite figured out, it's great for 60 seconds. It's great for your 10-minute presentation. It's a great philosophy to use when you communicate within BNI as well. We've all seen really great 60-second presentations and 10-minute presentations that really help that person, help us get them better referrals, higher quality referrals, whatever.
Absolutely. So if somebody wants to learn more about StoryBrand, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can go straight to the website, empowerstrat.com. Reach out on LinkedIn to me. I have an EmpowerStrat Facebook page, or glewis@empowerstrat.com. You Google me, you can probably find me most anywhere. I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit, and that's a good place to reach out to me there. Everything we do with somebody starts with just kind of a free discovery call, and we'll sit down and really kind of hear where they are with their business, and then where they would like to be with their business, what kind of business would they like. And then we'll look at putting a plan together, and if it's a good fit, we move forward from there.
Yeah. Is it helpful if they read the book, or is it better to just jump in with a consultant?
I think reading the book is good to give them an overall kind of conceptual view of it.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of resources online from StoryBrand you can look at. It just depends on how deep you want to go, because a lot of people, it's a really kind of great way to introduce them to it. And then if you really want to go deep and really dive into it, it's good to work with a guide. Doesn't have to be me, but I'd reach out to a StoryBrand guide to help you really dig deep into it. Because what you end up with is brand messaging that can be applied across any of your communications, your website, social media, Facebook ads. You can use this messaging across a multitude of tactics. So I think those are great places to start, but then a guide can really help you refine it. And again, doesn't have to be me. There's other StoryBrand guides that can really help.
Well, and I'm going to say I love their marketing, right? Because they do give you the book that practically gives you everything. However, even me, I'm a great do-it-yourselfer. I found it very challenging to do the activities alone, because I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. I didn't know if I was on the right track. It's just helpful to have somebody with an outside perspective. Yeah, because that's the other challenge. I know so much about my own business, because I'm in the nuts and bolts of it all the time. But you don't need to know half, not even half. Right? You don't need to know. You need to just scratch the surface to know if you want to be a part of it. You don't have to know all the stuff. That's right. So yeah.
And the reason a guide can help you, I mean, every week we have just as part of the certified guide community, we have educational resources. There's 750, 800 guides, and they're swapping best practices all the time. So we have a lot of learning that we get that we can go and apply to really make, your story work for you. Just being part of that community has been a tremendous resource to me in terms of the knowledge and resources that are available there.
I am absolutely convinced that if a business owner takes their marketing in this direction, that it sets them apart from the crowd, without a doubt. Even if you sell exactly the same thing in exactly the same way, it makes people want to do it with you instead, because you appear, and I think you appear to really have my best interest in helping me make my dreams come true at the core of all of it.
It also makes their life a little easier, because now they know how to talk about their business. Somebody asks them what they do, they know exactly what to say. They want to do their own social media posting, they have content that they can go do that. So it just makes their life easier too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. I'm so glad that you've been able to share just some great information with those who have listened as well. And thank you so much. And then on top of it, thank you so much for being a part of the bigger team, because you also support chapters in Tuscaloosa as well. So thank you for all of that. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Gene, for being here. All right. So for next week, we have John Chambers coming on to the show. We're going to talk real estate and what it is like to be in real estate right now. This is a really interesting time for real estate. So meet with us next week again, same time, same channel, and we will see you then. Have a great week.